two members of the apparent Lucha House Party go head-to-head, and we have the 205 debut of Roderick Strong. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your February 6th, 205 live review. I'm still getting used to saying that. I'm so used to saying date NXT review, because that's what I'm used to saying on here. I'm still getting used to doing the whole 205 thing. And this week we see what I knew was going to happen eventually, is because I'm doing the 205 gimmick here. I'm eventually going to have to pay a little bit of reference to what happens on Raw, because occasionally they still have cruiserweights on Raw. So this week on Raw, we had a cruiserweight tag team match, and we had the introduction of Drake Maverick to the Raw crowd, which was all good. He was on commentary. We had Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander versus Gulak and Nese. And I'm going to go through the match real quick. There's not much to it. Ali and Nese start. There's a collar and elbow tie up and a gut shot by Nese. Mudhole stomp by Nese. A head scissor by Ali. A takedown dropkick combination by Cedric and Nese. Hangman by Nese. Double sledge by Gulak. Lariat off the top rope by Gulak and a body scissor by Nese. Boot by Alexander. Rolling clotheslines by Ali. Top rope tornado DDT by Ali. Suicide dive senton combination by Cedric. Springboard clothesline by Cedric into the obvious lumbar check. Cedric gets the win for the team of himself and Cedric and Mustafa Ali. Drake Maverick promises lots and lots of surprises, promises this is a brand new rebirth of 205 Live, which is good, and you can tell, especially by what we saw tonight, that it is a rebirth of 205 Live, which is great. I just wish they didn't have to fuck over my boy Enzo Amore to get there, but I mean, Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander are two of the guys that they're going to push moving forward, are they not? So, I mean, this was pretty much an obvious one, and it was just a little bit of filler on Raw. But Drake Maverick promising that, you know, there's not enough people just on 205 Live to do this tournament. So he makes reference to last week and how we saw the debut of Tyler Bate, which was fine. I mean, like, the UK guys sort of got to find a spot where they find a spot, but we knew that Roderick Strong was going to be on here tonight. We knew that the Lucha guys were going to face each other tonight, and Drake Maverick promises a lot of surprises, and you never know where those surprises are going to come from, which is good. Which makes me think you're going to get more people from 205 Live, maybe some people from the Raw roster that aren't technically on the 205 Live roster, but could fit that bill. So it was a good little bit. It was a good little, you know, it was a filler tag team match, and you knew who was going to win. Gulak and Nese are the punching bags of the 205 Live division, are they not? But gave Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander time to shine, which is good, because I think they're pretty much going to be the tippy top of the division. I mean, like I said, you lost Neville, you lost Austin Aries, you fucked over Enzo Amore. These are the guys that are going to be at the top of your division now, and good for them. But, I mean, the result of this tag team match, A, doesn't matter, and B, was never in any real doubt, was it? But go into this week, there's long matches, and it's not the same atmosphere as the Cruiserweight Classic. I was going to come up here all joking around about how, you know, Cruiserweight Classic Volume 2 rolls on, but it's not really. It's not filmed in the NXT arena at Full Sail there, so you don't get that intimate crowd, but you do get people, and the people are getting into this. I mean, I noted last week that the first time ever that I've heard 205 chants, you know, along, you know, ECW chants, NXT chants. Back in the day, you even had WCW chants every now and then. Nobody's ever chanting WWE, are they? Which is, that tells you something right there. I mean, even TNA has some chants here and there, I'm assuming, because I don't watch it anymore. But anyways, we replay the introduction of Drake Maverick as the new 205 general manager. We replay him announcing the tournament, and then we get right on into it. There's no real promos. There's no real nothing. Kalisto versus Lince Dorado, and they show Kalisto in his car doing the, you know, the Instagram video talking about his match tonight. Sorry, my sinuses are fucked up, guys, if you haven't noticed. I hate these cell phone promos that these guys are doing now. I mean, you had Baron Corbin and The Miz doing them against each other back around Survivor Series a year and a half ago, and they worked because they were unique, and now everybody's doing them, and that's all they're doing for backstage promos, is doing these you know, these Instagram cell phone shot promos. And you see John Cena on Monday, and I'm not going to talk about Monday Night Raw that much, but John Cena walking up and down the hallway, walking forward, walking backward, mocking it, because even he knows how dumb it is. But apparently this group that they've put together with Kalisto, Lince Dorado, and Gran Metalik, which I think is really cool, put all the luchadors together. I mean, it's an easy fix, but it works. And apparently it's called the Lucha House Party, which didn't take much effort at all to put together, did it? Anyways, there's a handshake to start, you know, showing mutual respect, but then again, you know, they hold on to that handshake for a little extra second, and they both stare at the WrestleMania sign. It's that cliche, we're friends, but competition comes first, and we all want to go to WrestleMania. Neither one of these guys is going to WrestleMania, are they? But there's a handshake to start, and they stare at the WrestleMania side. Front slam by Dorado, and some chain wrestling, and some jockeying for position. I hate that expression, but that's what they were doing in the early going. Arm drag cradle combination by Kalisto, lariat by Dorado. They trade some arm drags, and they trade some pin attempts, and they trade some drop kicks, and they trade some kip ups. Sorry. Headlock by Kalisto, dropkick by Dorado, monkey flip by Dorado, tilt-a-whirl head scissor by Kalisto, suicide dive by Kalisto, and they trade some more pin attempts. Suicide senton by Dorado, and uppercuts, and he gets tossed back out of the ring. I love that. Suicide dive is one thing, suicide senton is another thing. Anything you can do, I can do better, and I can do it better. I know. People laugh because I drive that phrase home all the time, but anything you can do, I can do better is a real thing. It's a real feeling that real people feel. And anything you can do, anything real in wrestling, it draws the crowd in. Because nobody is voluntarily setting themselves up in a real fight to do a 450 splash off the top of a ladder, off the top of a building. But if somebody throws themselves at you and you're saying, oh yeah, I can do that too, that's an understandable feeling. That's why I love that psychology in wrestling. Sleeper by Dorado and a front slam. Boot by Kalisto, a top rope Rana by Dorado. They trade some punches, some chops, and a step up enziguri by Kalisto. Head scissor DDT combination by Kalisto and a top rope roll up. It's a really cool thing. Kalisto had Dorado up on the top rope. They're both standing on the top rope, and you think he's going to go for like a big suplex or a big head scissor, but he sort of flips himself over into an almost like a victory roll, but he does the victory roll in midair. So when they hit the ground, they're already in the pinning predicament. If that makes, I'm hoping I'm describing that correctly, because you know me. If you watched me in the Cruiserweight Classic, it was a hell of a thing for me to try and explain some of the things. Why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? It was a hell of a thing for me to try and describe some of the things that were happening in the ring during the Cruiserweight Classic, and I'm not going to lie, I took like 10-minute matches and took 25 minutes to write notes on those matches with my finger on the pause button more than anything else. Just because I didn't want to miss anything. And this top rope pinning combination was another thing. Dorado recovers, hits the golden rewind, which is apparently the name of the handspring into the stunner that he was doing all through the Cruiserweight Classic. Shooting star press by Dorado. It's fucking pretty. But Kalisto bails. Kalisto bails out to get a breath. Dorado doesn't let him, brings him back in the ring. Salcido del Sol by Kalisto, and he gets a near fall, but it's broken up by a grab of the ropes. Just, you know, not even a kick out, not even a foot on the ropes, just, hey, there's the rope, I'll grab it, that's enough to break the pinfall. Mule kick by Dorado, he tries to do some other things. Kalisto hits a really fucked up reverse Rana, because he doesn't flip the guy over, he doesn't flip himself over. They sort of invert and sort of fall on each other, if that makes sense. But they recover faster than any botch recovery I can remember in recent memory. Hits another Salcido del Sol that really comes crashing down compared to the first one, and gets the win. Dorado comes back into the ring showing an insane amount of, you know, classiness, sportsmanship. You know, they're still playing up that whole, like, we've got the lucha respect, we've still, you know, we're still friends and all that sort of thing, you know, sort of raising his hand, pointing to the WrestleMania sign one last time, sort of a go get it type thing, which is good because they're baby faces and they should do that. Because Roderick Strong is in the main event tonight, we see a video package on Roderick Strong, which would be good, except for the fact that I watch NXT, and I know that we've seen these video packages on Roderick Strong a lot. So where this was probably great for people, I don't know, because they're both on the WWE Network, so I don't know who's watching 205 Live that's not watching NXT. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. but it sort of ate up some time, type of thing. Cedric Alexander, once again, cutting a cell phone promo in the back, and I hate these. He's talking about how he's already won the first round. He's taking a look at everybody else, and, you know, nobody can get him, nobody can get him. His buddy, Mustafa Ali, who we just talked about in the tag team match from Raw, pops up and says, hey, man, you know, you better watch, make sure nobody gets you from behind. There's an 054 coming your way. And he said, as his friend runs away, he says, hey, everything's cool until your lumbar gets checked. If Ali and Alexander are the finals of this tournament, if Ali and Alexander are the match we get at WrestleMania, I'm totally okay with that. TJP, unlike these other goofballs, actually gets to sit backstage in studio and cut a proper backstage promo. He's reading through Twitter, talking about his match last week, talking about how, oh, it was a great match, but why'd you have to win that way? It's a great match, but it was a horrible finish. It's a great match. It's a shame that you had to win that way. And he talks about how the fans have overlooked him and they've forgotten about him. And, hey, back at the Cruiserweight Classic, I really gave you guys something to hope for, something to believe in, etc. This time I'm not doing it for you. This time I'm doing it for me. Straight, simple, heel promo, short, sweet, and to the point. It's fucking great. Get the announcement that next week we're going to get Akira Tozawa, who's recovering from the news that he's not going to be the general manager. That is one thing I will say that was fucking brilliant. When they announced that there was going to be a 205 Live general manager, you had Akira Tozawa cutting all these backstage promos in a big suit that was way too big for him, doing his impression of the Vince McMahon walk and telling everybody that they were fired, and then telling everybody that he was going to win the Cruiserweight Championship so that he could fire them. And it was just a crazy bit of fun. He's taking on Mark Andrews, who we not only know from the UK tournament, who we not only know because he's done a stint here and there on NXT, but anybody that remembers back when Rockstar Spud was in TNA, you know that Mark Andrews, or Mandrews, was a buddy of his on TNA. Now, that's going back quite a bit. That's going back to when I was still watching TNA, so I don't know what he's been doing since then, other than stuff in the UK and Wales and all that sort of thing. But I like him. He's a fun enough character, and to see him go up against Tozawa next week is going to be pretty good. Because Tozawa, you know, he's got this, you know, the serious, strong style barking at the crowd, you know, as long as Gulak doesn't tell him to come out and not chant or whatever, it's all going to be good. Speaking of Gulak, we have Nice and Gulak being told off by Drake Maverick in the back, asking them what happened to them. You know, Gulak, you used to be one of the best scrappers in the Cruiserweight Classic. Now you're just walking around like a goofball with your picketing sign and all this sort of thing. And then he turns to Tony Nese and he says, you know, you're the most physically gifted guy I have on my roster, but all you do is go out there and count your abs. Congratulations, you've got abs. What else have you done? Which is fucking brilliant. It's only 2 weeks in, and I get that. And it's probably, there is a bit of comedy to it, but there is a bit of realism behind the comedy, which makes it even better. I'm sure the Drake Maverick character is going to grow stale on us eventually, but right now, I love it. I loved Rockstar Spud in TNA when he was the, you know, the little sidekick of EC3. EC3's in NXT. That's another thing that's gonna be fucking wonderful. But then we go and we see a video package on Mark Andrews as well, which is great. But again, if you saw the UK tournament, if you saw anytime the UK guys have been on NXT, you've seen these video packages before. So while I give them credit to, you know, hey, maybe you didn't watch the UK tournament, maybe you missed this guy on NXT, but here he is, you know, putting his hat in the ring for the 205 Live tournament. It's all good, and I give WWE credit for that, but at the same time, if you have seen it, it gets pretty damn repetitive. I'm not gonna lie, because you guys know up here in Canada, why are we beeping? I'm sorry, guys, my computer has a mind of its own. Up here in Canada, as I've mentioned multiple times, you don't watch the network on your computer, on your tablet, on your device, on your phone, on your PS4, on your Xbox. It's an actual channel up here. It's 512 and it's $2.97, depending on whether you're doing live stuff or on demand. So realistically, when 205 Live starts, it's about 20 after 10 here. I wait till about 10:30. and let the TiVo back up about 10 minutes, so that when I get to something I don't want to watch, like these videos, and you've seen me on NXT before say, hey, I've seen these videos before already, or with TM61 where I just really didn't give a fuck, I can fast forward through that, and it makes the show about 45 minutes long, which is fucking great, and one of the reasons I don't review Raw. Oh yes. Let's get into the main event. Hideo Itami versus Roderick Strong. They mentioned that Roderick Strong is also the #1 contender for the UK Championship. So he's a guy from NXT who's fighting to be the Cruiserweight champion, who's already got a shot at the UK tournament, or at the UK champion Pete Dunne. Roderick Strong versus Pete Dunne is going to be fucking fantastic too, isn't it? But Hideo Itami versus Roderick Strong. Strong works the arm early, and there's a headlock by Itami. Bow and arrow by Strong. Collar and elbow tie, but a takedown by Strong. Arm and wrist lock by Strong. Headlock by Itami. Shoulder tackle by Itami, and a side kick by Strong. Corner chops by Strong. Body shots by Itami. Leg drop on the apron. He hangs him up sort of in the apron, with his head drooping. Imagine how Randy Orton would pull somebody in when he's about to do the suspension DDT, but he just sort of leaves him hanging there, drops a knee on the back of his head, which is fucking great. Follows it up with a kitchen sink. Mudhole stomp and a boot by Itami. Tornado Hangman is one of my favorite maneuvers. Like when Hideo Itami debuted on NXT, I was like, okay, this guy's cool, this guy's good, he's going to bring in that Japanese strong style type thing. Everybody was telling me how he did the GTS, and, you know, everybody was going to chant CM Punk because they're all retards. But the one thing that I take away, it's like Johnny Gargano doing the slingshot spear. It's not a finisher, but it is one of my favorite maneuvers in Johnny Gargano's arsenal. It's the same thing here. Hideo Itami isn't going to win a match with the Tornado Hangman, but it's still a great move. What's even better is Roderick Strong, who knows Hideo Itami and talks about how they've fought many times, knows how to counter the Tornado Hangman, picks him up over his shoulders, and basically it's a gutbuster, but it's basically a stunner to Hideo Itami's stomach. If we could stop beeping, that would be really fucking great. That would be really fucking great. Follows it up with stomps by Strong while Hideo Itami's down, selling his gut. Both men trade body shots, vertical suplex by Strong, and a seated abdominal stretch. That's where I can't read my own writing. It just said seated. It just says seated AB stretch because I ran out of room on the line. So what the fuck is that? Oh yeah, seated abdominal stretch. High knee by Strong and backbreaker and a stomp to the chest. Forearm shots by Strong and a drop kick and another seated abdominal stretch, which once again is written as an AB stretch. Jawbreaker by Itami, DDT, and some shoulder tackles. Hadami, you heard that. That's how fucking tired I am. Haluva kick by Itami, which is great because we just saw Sami Zayn on SmackDown, which is, you know, a little continuity that doesn't really need to exist. Top rope forearm and a series of strikes. Boot by Strong, angle slam, and a chop battle on the apron. The chop battle on the apron eventually makes it down to the floor of the arena where they're trading chops and punches and kicks and forearms and strikes and the whole fucking bit. Until Strong catches, Itami goes for a strike. Strong catches him in almost an exploder suplex position. And then he hits what the commentators, Nigel McGuinness and Vic Joseph, I like Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness brings the knowledge from NXT over into 205 because you're talking about an NXT guy, essentially. And Vic Joseph is nothing special, but he's a good counteract for Nigel McGuinness. But they talk about how Roderick Strong is known for his backbreakers. So what Roderick Strong does here, they call it a backbreaker on the apron by Strong, but what he basically does is he cradles Hideo Itami, again, I'm sorry, he cradles Hideo Itami in his arms and throws him spine first on a really ugly looking angle into the edge of the apron, which, if you remember Taz back in the day, would always remind us it's the hardest part of the ring. Oh yes. Falcon Arrow by Itami with his dislocated spine, which is fucking great. Rings of Saturn, but it's a Rings of Saturn with like an extra chokehold thrown in. Don't really know what to call it, but they just called it a modified Rings of Saturn because they didn't know what to call it either. Gutbuster, running knee, and a Cloud 9 by Strong. Cloud 9 is basically, best way I can explain it is a face first rock bottom, which is pretty cool. Super fucking Falcon Arrow by Hideo Itami was maybe one or two of the top moves of the match. Spinning back fist by Itami and a hesitation dropkick, but a high knee and an end of heartache causes absolutely no heartache for Roderick Strong because he is moving on in the tournament, which I think means you're going to get Roderick Strong versus Kalisto in the next round, and like I say, Kalisto ain't going any farther in this tournament, is he? Next week, we've got Gulak versus Nice, which I'm on. We got Tozawa and Mark Andrews, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. But more importantly, and this is where I'm going to stick in a cheap little plug here, tomorrow night on NXT, Sanity is taking on the good old ROH boys twice. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you then. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.